to have a couple opportunities for essay responses. One that would be pros, what are the things that were pros about this course or this instructor?
Oh, you mean like comments?
Yep,
Okay.
essay questions, 2 of them. And then one are cons, and I wouldn't say, what do you dislike, but what are opportunities for improvement in this course or for this instructor?
Comments, opportunities for pros, cons.
Pros.
Pros.
I wouldn't say pros and cons, I'd say pros are things that you enjoyed about the course, and then opportunities for improvement.
Okay.
So like when you're a supervisor and you're evaluating an employee, you don't say, you're really good at this and here's where you suck. You say,
Yeah.
no, these are opportunities for improvement.
Right.
Does that seem to make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked quite a bit about this. I think this would be useful, and again, you'd have to discuss more about the mechanics and the technical challenges of how you're going to be making your decisions, how are you going to be representing the data and showing the reports, and how are you going to control access. And then once you've figured out those aspects, then we can talk about additional data sets. In the mock data that I gave you, I did give you a source, which was Mockaroo.com, which allows you up to 1,000 rows of fake data, and you can kind of give it some field characteristics that you're looking for.
Okay.
I also provided some examples of how I write formulas to create random data, just to create your own data sets. But I could sit down with your team, and if you decide that you want to have some sample data, let's do that together. And here's what I'm going to suggest. With the survey, you don't want to go into a web page and enter it 2,000 times to get samples to evaluate. You want to inject and import into Salesforce a data set that has survey results, so that then you have something to build your graphs and your charts on. For the live demo, you'd want to step through and say, this is the form that feeds this data set, but when you're actually generating the reports and stuff, you want to just import a big block of data in order to show your graphs and stuff. Because if you're trying to show different instructors and different courses and so on, you don't want to hand enter all that data. That would be silly. So, is that making sense? Let's step back to number 1, and I kind of remember a little bit about what it was. So it's a survey to find characteristics and personality traits, and you don't have to apply it. So I'm going to say my feedback on that is, if getting them to fill out a 20-question course evaluation is sketchy, having them fill out 200 questions to figure out really what's a good fit for them for a major on campus, that would be challenging.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that undecided students are less likely to retain.
Right.
Are there any other things that we could do to help students find a major?
Things that help students find majors are getting them into groups on campus is one of them. Driving involvement in campus events and orgs is something I'm not sure how we could implement a solution to that involved making it more efficient, because you either like a campus or you like a campus event or you don't. As another thing is the working within university housing. The thing that retains students is the quality of facilities, the quality of food at dining, and does where I live facilitate, being social to a certain extent, and does it also provide a community in which I can learn in?
And those are other aspects of retention, but I like better the idea of, if there's an undecided student, how can we help get them decided?
Right.
So are there things that, like if you were coming to campus and you didn't know what major you wanted, what might influence you one direction or another?
There's like a class that I know of, and I never took it, so I don't know exactly like what it all entailed of, but it was like a class for undecided students that kind of helped you like learn more about other, or like the options at stuff. I don't know, I didn't take it, but I know someone that did take it. Or
so you'd want to talk with Janine Thole.
Okay.
Or Darren Ward. So Janine, Janine.
Okay.
Thull.
Okay.
She's the director of the Advisement Center.
Okay.
Or Darren, Darren,
Okay.
Ward, Ward, and he's one of the advisors in the mentoring center. He's also the person who is the coordinator for the Mentor Collective program, which helps first-year students find a buddy on campus. So as they're coming to campus, someone who's an experienced student, so they've got someone to turn to if they've got questions like, you know, I don't like this class, I want to drop it, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, I'm feeling homesick, I hate my roommate, life sucks, you know, that kind of stuff. So those two would be probably really good resources as far as this class is involved. We've discontinued the class currently because it costs money to hire instructors to do that. And also, it's hard to convince students to pay money for class on how to pick a major. We don't offer it for free, they have to pay for it.
Right.
So what I would suggest is one thing to think about. How could you use Salesforce and electronic communication to help provide similar content without having to staff it?
Okay.
One thing that you might want to consider is also talking to marketing, and they're in the basement of the administration building. And I'm going to give you another name, Sam or Samantha Peterson.
Okay.
And she's in charge of something called Pardot, and it's the communications package that ties into Salesforce.
Okay.
And she is responsible for the electronic mailing campaigns that go out to prospective students. So from those three people, you could get some ideas about how do we communicate what we offer and how to convert interests that you may have in certain subjects in high school or certain hobbies and activities into something that would be a major itself. One of the things that marketing is doing, and that you may have noticed in our campus promotions, is we're offering something called career clusters, which are groups of similar programs. So ICT, DMT, CNET are all in a cluster together about, you know, IT technology. So that might be something as well to think about, you know, how can we take these students who are already here, so we don't have to recruit them to campus, they're already here, but we need to better educate them into what are their options, and hopefully in that first term, get them to pick something. Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
And I think that that would be a better pathway than just seeing a survey.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the first question that any researcher on campus is gonna say is, well, how did you validate your survey? You know, how did you double-blind study it, and, you know, how do you know that what your recommendations are actually accurate to the characteristics of the personalities of the students, blah, 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 blah. That takes millions of dollars, and
Right.
you don't have that. But if you can use the expert advice from people who are already doing the marketing and advising on campus, then you can say, well, our resources were the professionals on campus who are already responsible for this, these were their recommendations. We've taken the recommendations and moved them forward then into our product.
Okay.
So what I would suggest, and this is why I don't want to have a decision today, but what I would suggest is that you kind of do some thought process and try and get back to me by early next week. Once you're finalized, problem solution, very specific is going to be what your deliverable is going to be. So you need to, you know, ask some questions early on. I will tell you right now that the course evaluation has been very popular among the groups. So if you go down that route, your solution will be competing with several other solutions. If you go down the route of undecided students, you are currently alone in that field. So I do like that as a different thing to present, as a different problem that we could resolve. So I would be in favor of that if you can figure out a way to make it work. Now, I've also told all the groups, whatever you pick, you personally all have to be jazzed and invested in.
Right.
Because in this semester, it's gonna suck. You're gonna say, why the hell did we pick this? We should have picked something easier. This is just too much work. I hate this. I want you at the end of this experience to be able to go to future employers and to say, these were issues that we were personally, emotionally invested in because we knew that it affected big important outcomes for students, this is how we've solved it, and this is what the client thought of our solution. So if you can be enthusiastic about what you're picking and keep that enthusiasm throughout the course, then you'll not only have a really great presentation, but you also have a nice thing to have a conversation with the future employer. The big things in interviewing, especially for first jobs out of college, is differentiating yourself against all the other exiting seniors. And in my mind, from the interviews that I've done, it's how are you a problem solver, and prove it. Because everyone can say, oh, I'm an expert in this, I'm an expert in this. How can you prove to me that you actually did that well? This project, where you say, we did a capstone project, and here's what we had, and here were problems we identified, and the reasons why there were problems, and how this was impacting the university, that is a much better exchange to have with an employer. Other than, well, I took my Excel class and I'm really good at spreadsheets, so hire me. So is that making sense?
Yes.
All right. So where my thoughts are, you have to feel comfortable as a team. And if this were a normal vendor-client solution, I would pick for you. But because this is something that you have to get invested in, I want you to choose. If after tonight you say, boy, both of these suck, we need something else, don't be afraid to go down another route. But once you turn in what you're gonna do, you need to keep it. I'm not gonna let you, change horses in the middle of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that fair?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my personal leanings right now would be something that would address undecided students. I think that would be a better presentation at the end of the term because it'd be different than what your peers are presenting. It's also something that can have direct impact. When we take a look at the numbers for retention, undecided students, I think it's something like they're at least 25% more likely to drop out than students who have picked a program.
Okay.
If we can reduce that, so it's $10,000 a year, $5,000 per semester. If we keep 40 more students at $5,000 apiece, that's $200,000. That's a lot of money. That's significant. So, is that kind of making sense?
So the big deal for that one is talking to the people on campus who are already experts in this and getting their input and figuring out a way to translate that into Salesforce
Yep.
to an efficient way. Okay.
And the approach I would make with the advising is to say, because you don't want to take up too much of their time
Right.
giving the background, but to say, we're involved in this capstone course. James suggested that we talk to you because we'd like to find ways to help advise students electronically on how to narrow down their scope of majors so that they can go from undecided to decided in a shorter time span. We are not going to pick their major for them. We are going to help them focus their attention on what options would be best fits for them. How do you do that in your role on campus?
Okay, sounds good.
So, and this is also a cost savings thing because what would be the best solution for this? Let's have every student meet one-on-one on a regular basis with a real live person who does professional advisement and help walk them through. We can't afford that. Can we help get them 3/4 of the way electronically, and then that last quarter we hand them off to an actual staff person who kind of walks the last mile with them? So. And what I said earlier is, you don't tell them what major, you give them a couple choices saying these would be better fits based on what we know about you.
Okay.
Or these are options that, you should consider. So how do you get from here to there? Again, the people in the advisement center would be really good. Sam Peterson marketing would be really good. So.
What is the minimum you're willing to pay? So like, it's kind of like thinking of the PMs for this class. I'm not sure if they're paid, but they're kind of like helping us or with the whole project. So I was kind of